For several years, it was obvious that Win Oil Company's attitude towards its distributors was changing. And through their language and actions, they were saying we can market it better than we can through our distributors. Well, several years before, Carl Wynn had become chairman of the board, and Wes Bellwood, who frankly was a bean counter. In other words, he didn't have the feeling of the distributor that Carl Wynn had. Now, number one, men began to come into the company that were not brought up in the business. In other words, they had no real understanding of the relationship of distributor and the importance that distributors had in uniting with Win Oil Company to create a real strong distribution through the nation. So he began to think more in terms of bottom line. And he brought in people from outside Win Oil Company, such as Al Michaud, who, bright, good guy, but he was in marketing. Roy Leslie called him the damn ketchup salesman. In other words, he didn't comprehend who we were, try as hard as he could. He didn't. So the idea of marketing in a more traditional fashion to him, which would be through mass market, was beginning to grow. So all of these changes, you could begin to see were not going to be good for Wynn's distributors. So in Chicago, we listened to what they had to say, which is basically cut our throat, tell us they were going with mass market, and we got up and left the meeting. The core challenge was unknown, really. What could we find? What could be our next step? We thought it would probably be as a manufacturer. So we asked OJ, would he set up an appointment to go in and see the president of Southwest Grease and Oil, H.A. Mayer. H.A. related an incident that had happened to him that was much like our dilemma early in his life. And Roy said he pounded on the desk and said, hell yes, we'll make product for you. We had a few distributors. We did nothing actively to proselytize. We had a few distributors like Jerry Tomlinson in Texas that heard about what we were doing, and he just signed on. Same with C.Y. Hart in Tennessee and Bob Burns in Canada. But this was essentially outside of our own 7 distributorships. This is who we were at that point. Actually, in 1972, we sold $552,000 worth of product. That's something big, right? Most of us have a salesman that would do that in far less than a year now. But anyway, you can see that we struggle along. I mean, these aren't big growth years. This is while we're in 910 East Lincoln and then Greenwood and then over to Waterman. Whitco's acquiring Southwest Grease and Oil was principally grease. So I think Don Walton probably made the greatest decision of his whole career as president of BG Products, Inc. And he secured a right of first refusal if and when Whitco decided to sell Plant 3. And pretty soon our business was not to use additives with services that were being performed, but to create new services in a shop that not only satisfied a problem, but that put labor dollars into the service department, and in a big way if we trained them how to use it. We had a grand opening party to end it all, and the office gals were so proud, and they put pictures around, and all the guys out in the plant, they stood by whatever station that they worked and did, and we had plant tours, and man, those floors were just gleaming. That thing looked like $1 million. I mean, it was, to me, it was the greatest plant in the world. There was nothing like that. And what a happy day. And you could see Don Walton up there, and you cut the ribbon that day, and that was the grand opening of BG Product, Inc., which was now a reality.